This is 25mm that is sitting on top of a 75mm plate. Yeah, at 3.3 you have 100mm of armor right here. And if that armor can bounce German 76 and sometimes the British 17 pounders at 4.7, can you imagine what happens if you bring this down to 3.3? Screw you too, buddy. When I'm this close, man. I was not gonna save you. I've always wondered what the heck is this thing for. I hope it's actually for like towing like trailers and stuff, or crewmen to actually use to get up on these vehicles. Otherwise, well... Hey guys, it's Jim here, and welcome back to War Thunder. If you have seen enough of my videos on how I play War Thunder, then you might know that if there's one thing I really enjoy doing in War Thunder, it's playing a tank that brings the gun from one battle rating to a whole battle rating lower. We're talking about vehicles like the M10 or the Achilles, bringing the 3-inch gun from the M6A1 or the 17 pounder from the Avenger at 4.7 battle rating, all the way down to 3.3. But what if I told you that in today's video we are checking out a vehicle that has a little bit of a twist? Instead of bringing the gun down from 4.7 to 3.3, we are bringing the armor from 4.7 to 3.3. Now let me break it down to you and I'll show you what I mean. Now first things first, armor. This is 25mm that is sitting on top of a 75mm plate. So yeah, at 3.3 you have a tank that has 100mm of armor that is slightly sloped and spaced. This is the exact same armor that you see in the Semovente at 4.7. This one right here. As you can see, 25mm in the on top of it, 75mm. And if that armor can bounce German 76 and sometimes the British 17 pounders at 4.7, can you imagine what happens if you bring this down to 3.3? Almost nothing that you come across can punch through this at all. And it also helps that whenever they see a Semovente, they see this near 19-degree flat plane right here, they tend to shoot this as their first shot and basically wasting their rounds. And then moving along, we have a 25mm plane right here that's sitting on top of a bulbous 50mm right here, sitting on top of another 50mm right here. So in other words, I'm not too concerned about them shooting my gun breech anytime soon. Best case scenario, they shoot this, and then all it does is just, yeah, bounce. So what I recommend is that when you're reloading or something, just wiggle your gun so that this shield right here can actually protect some of the jarring gaps right here. Now another spot to keep in mind is this. Even though it's only 35mm at a very wide angle, at 78 degrees, you can bet your ass that the Soviet APH-EBC can pass right through this, because you know, Soviet. And then another weak spot is this 50mm right here, 35mm right here. So you can try to play a bit of a hold on, but interestingly enough, some people try to shoot this, and what happens? My transmission eats it. However, if you remember what I mentioned about the Hetzer in one of my previous videos, yeah, try not to rely on this in the transmission eating your shells. Not to mention, if your transmission gets knocked out, you don't have a turret. So that's something to be careful of. Now something to keep in mind is that you may have a really strong hull front armor. Just be careful about one thing though. In the past, this didn't used to be an issue because when they do matchmaking, they just put Italy and Germany together, British and US together, and then the other factions just switches in between. Meaning that Italy will never face German guns back then. But here's the thing though, now that they changed that, now that the nations are mixed, yeah, be very careful if you come across a German gun. Now you might be wondering, if this armor isn't really going to protect you enough, can you just angle? The answer is no. Again with the corner wedges. But the good news is that this may be 25mm, that is sitting on top of a 45mm right here. A lot of guys can definitely go through this. But why did I say it's the good news is that I am not too concerned about a SPA flanking me anytime soon, especially since they say this. They think, oh, it's a very juicy spot. Yeah, ain't happening, buddy. Rear armor's nothing much to look at, only 25mm, and roof armor is next to non-existent. And it might look like there's a gap here, but there is not, for some reason, so I am not too concerned about getting overpressure shot like the Hansa's rooftop mounted machine gun anytime soon. Just be careful about American 50 cals, they can definitely shred this thing. And speaking of shredding this thing, be very careful about one other aspect. It's the fact that you don't have any crewmen at all. Or, next to none. You only have 3 crewmen, and 2 of them are on one side. Driver and loader right here, the gunner on the other side. So that means if a gun can definitely penetrate your front, all you have to do is just shoot this right here to get the gunner and the loader all in one. Now moving on, we are looking at the unfortunate part upon this vehicle. This is the 75mm Ansalado 75L34 cannon. And if that cannon means anything to you, yes, this is the same gun as the P40, as you can see. So with the P40 on this platform, yes, that means you'll be firing the exact same shells. As you can see, this is the shell that we'll be using as our starter shell, the Granata Perforante 7532 armor piercing cap ballistic cap shell with 79mm of penetration at point blank, half decent angle of penetration, be careful when you come across NT34, and you have 217 grams of explosive mass. Like, this is ridiculous. In the event that this shell does penetrate, that guy won't be around for very long. Either shrapnel damage or overpressure. However, at 3.3, 79mm of penetration isn't really that strong, it's actually kinda weak. But the good news is that you have a small saving grace. That is, you also have the heat shell on the P40. The EPS M42 shell, 100mm of penetration at any range, that ridiculous angle of penetration because it's a heat shell, 513 grams of explosive mass. So that means Sherman's T-34s, they're not gonna bounce this shell anytime soon, unless of course you hit them at a very wide angle. Just be careful about another thing though. This is a heat shell, so that means it kinda behaves a little bit like solid armor piercing. And the problem is that the other aspects of this gun that makes this a bit of a challenge to use. So the other aspects of the gun. You only have 45 shells, which is less than the P40 that can carry up to 63. So my advice for this thing is, you can either run only heat shells, or you can run both. The thing is, I'd say just bring everything, because regardless of which shells you're using, you're probably firing 2/3 of them either missing, hitting but not penetrating, penetrating but not damaging because it's a heat shell. Then not to mention, yeah, your ammo is all down here, so it really doesn't matter if you carry more shells or less. Anyway, and more than likely if they kill you from the front, you're more than likely to die with crewman dead rather than ammo rack. And then the other aspects of the gun, reloading rate 6.9 seconds, and this is something to be careful of. Now I am running expert crew on with the same reloading level and leadership level on my crewmen on both these two tanks, but as you can see, 6.9 seconds versus 5.7, a whole second slower than the P40. And if I'm not mistaken, the stock performance, yeah, 7.8 seconds, that's actually kinda long, especially for the fact that this tank will more than likely sling more heat shells than the APC BC. So yeah, 7.8 seconds is really not that great. But the good news is that the other aspects is that horizontal guidance plus minus 18 degrees. For a gun that doesn't really have a turret, that's actually more than excellent. Because most tanks you come across has like 10 to 11, this one has 18. So try to make use of that. as well as vertical guidance, negative 10 gun depression. And since this gun has a lower profile than the P40, as you can see, then negative 10 gun depression becomes negative 12. No gun stabilizer, but the good news is that it doesn't really bounce nearly as much as you think. Anyway, that's all I gotta say about the tank. Let's take this thing out and basically make people scratch their heads because they're not penetrating this thing like they normally could with other Semoventes. Let's go. Oh, you I do not want to see. You another one. Right. Come on, shoot. I know you want to. Did that really do nothing?
Attention to the map! Another zone captured. Attention to the map! The enemy's getting closer to victory.
Oh yeah, skip doing that.
I agree.
Oh no, is that not just looking at me? Yes.
Have captured a zone. Caricare proiettili perforanti. Andiamo! Il nostro settore è sotto il fuoco di sbarramento. Attention to the map! Attention to the designated grid zone. Attack the sea point. Attention to the designated grid zone. Pronto. Thank you.
Yep.
Attack the sea point. The enemy is winning. We've got to counterattack. Attention to the map.
Actually, it's an AC1. I thought it was a T-34. Yeah, keep shooting me.
Our victory is near. Attention to the map. Il cannone è stato caricato.
come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yep, I'm dead.
Attention to the designated grid zone. Thanks.
This model doesn't want to push the Z-cap.
Attention to the map.
Are you kidding, dude? Now you come and watch C.
Affirmative. We've captured most of the strategic zones.
Yeah, knock it off road.
We need to put more pressure on the enemy.
Really, dude, now you leave C. This guy, man, I swear. Come on, let's go. If you love watching my butt so much. I had a feeling he's like move to the side. Game.
Enemy forces have captured the zone.
Maybe because of the right, that's why. This one already moving already.
Have captured the zone.
Get out of here.
Allied forces have captured the zone.
Don't let them this close, buddy. Buddy, turn around. Oh damn it, what happened to my gunner? Why aren't you turning the gun? Hold on, come on.
Attention to the map! Thank you!
I'm good, buddy, I'm good. You I do not want to see.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
Screw you too, buddy.
Attention to the map! Il singolo destro è stato distrutto, non possiamo muoverci. Attention to the map.
But dude, I've literally been warning you over that guy for the last 10 minutes. It's your fault that you're getting shot.
Defend the B point. Thanks.
Yeah, okay, no when I'm this close, man. The armor's not gonna save you.
The enemy has captured most of the strategic zones. Most of the zones are under enemy's control. Allied forces have captured a zone.
Damn it. Yo, you I do not want to see. Get the shit out of here, dude. Full 360 logistics, bitch. this stupid rock. You kidding me, game? I'm dead. Nope, I'm good. Okay, over here. There's one more guy there, I think. Oh god, you I do not want to see. Is there somebody in the corner? Yep. Stay with me, AB.
Allied forces have captured the zone. The enemy has most of the strategic zones.
Oh shit. Don't shoot my barrel, don't shoot my barrel, don't shoot my barrel. Thank you for not doing that. Thanks for doing that, I guess.